Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Yes, my cold has really messed with my voice, but you know what? We're still here. We're still here, and we're going to be here. Anyway, how are my people doing today? Welcome aboard. We have AVQ came in first today from Brooklyn, New York. We also have Yvette Avery Herod second from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have in the house Patrick Magner from, where again? Houston, Texas. In the house with us as well is Lee the Bearcat from Austin. And we have how do you say that? Skoyo at 12:56. Finally, a live show, he says. Let me just give you those times. The live shows are the live shows begin at 3 p.m. every weekday or 6 a.m. every weekday. Again, 6 a.m. every weekday, 3 p.m. weekday, all Central Time. That's when we do live. Then we normally rotate. All right, Jay Ray, come on in. He says, roaring from Houston, Texas. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Of course, I don't know where Skoy Tatolo is from. Let's see what else. Melanie Keelan is in from Barcelona, Spain. Hey, Melanie, I was trying to mimic your voice, but I got the algorithm incorrectly. So I wasn't able to get the right kind of sexy, rasky to it, but I'm still trying. Whoops, where's my mouse? Where is my mouse? There we go. All right, let's see what else we got here. Eric Hayes, welcome aboard from Kingwood, Atascocita. Lee Grant is in the house from Montgomery County. Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. Welcome aboard. Great to see you here. ABQ says, holy SHIT, Egberto. Well, I have a lot of videos, so it'll be better. Edward Peña, mi hermano favorito, ¿cómo estás? And Yvette says, sending hugs and good vibes your way. Let's see. Let me see what's going on with Michael. Did I miss that? Having a rough. Oh, Michael, sorry that you're having a rough day. I didn't see it in the beginning. I want you to just sit back, chill, and we will try to make your day better. That's our job. We're a team. All right. Welcome, Squirrel Connie from Washington State. Love having you here, sis. What else? Yeah, Edward says drink warm tea. Man, I drank warm tea, lime and honey. I boil water and put my head over the steam coming out and breathe it in to try to loosen stuff up. It worked for a while, but it's still difficult. I'm hoping it'll be better in a day. We'll see. But it better be. I have a very important meeting on Saturday where I'm introducing Congressman Al Green at our Houston Peace and Justice Center meeting. So I need to get it better by then. All right, Lee Grant says, Egberto, your voice is raspy. You should try a Barry White impression. I can't get too high and I can't get too low, but I will try. Okay? All right. Look, folks, love that I have you here. Let's go ahead and start the program with an interview I did today with Isaiah Martin, who is running to replace the seat held by Sheila Jackson Lee and Sylvester Turner from 18. And this will cover, he will be covering the Democratic Party. Let's take a listen to that, and then we'll take it on the other side. Welcome to the Substack Live edition of Politics Done Right. I know you hear my voice. Regardless of being ill or not, we get the job done. Today we have a very special guest, Isaiah Martin, and a Gen Z political activist and now politician. He's out with us today, and we are going to discuss the state of the Democratic Party, where it needs to go, and you know what I've been talking about for a long time. I want these guys, these younger folk, I want them to take this damn party and move it forward, move it to what America really wants. So, without further ado, Mr. Isaiah Martin, welcome to Politics Done Right, Substack Live. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Well, look, I'm excited too because over the last 3 days, I became your stalker on Instagram because
Yeah.
I like to see what our Democratic or progressive politicians are doing.
hmm
I think it's essential for us to know how to use these different avenues
Yeah.
and not being partial or not being selective.
Yeah.
So far in this race, you are the one who have been able to use all the avenues, which I think is in the order of, let's say, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or the
hmm
others who have effectively used this platform. Talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, certainly we want to be everywhere we possibly can. So whether that's in social media, whether that's being in person, we're going to events all across the district. We are going on social media. We got, millions and millions of views on all of our content from all across the country and right here in our district. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. And then every night on TikTok Live, I'm available for people to ask me any question they want. And I believe that that is certainly what a lot of people are excited about because I'm the kind of person that's unafraid. I don't really run from anything. And I want to show that no matter what the situation is, I'm unscripted, unfiltered, and I'm ready to be here to serve the people.
Well, the most important thing, can you do the job?
Absolutely.
Now, here's the
Absolutely.
deal. What's the problem right now with the Democratic Party as you see it?
Well, I would say that the biggest thing is I think the modern day question in front of us is just fight versus flight. It's not really as ideological today as it once was. It's more of a question of are you willing to stand up and fight these guys or are you going to lay down? And certainly, I believe that we must be moving in the direction of fighting. We have to fight these people because they're throwing everything at us. The same old playbook, the same old rules that have been in place for the last 100 or so years is simply what's not going to get us out of this moment that we're in right now. It's unprecedented time, so it takes unprecedented action. And if you want new results, you're going to have to elect a new type of person to go and serve you.
So, in other words, you can't have caution, inordinate caution when you're fighting these guys.
No, I think that it's important to be strategic, but I certainly don't think that you should be afraid of your own shadow. I don't think you should be weak as paper mache. It takes a backbone to stand up to these people, and ultimately, that's what we need.
You know, I saw an ad a couple of days ago, and it was about Bernie Sanders saying the Democratic Party needs to turn left. And this guy was making fun of Bernie Sanders by saying, look, they've already moved left and they're off the bridge. And
Mhm.
the problem is the following. Forget about left and right.
Yeah.
The policies that most Americans want is the policies Republicans and neoliberal Democrats call left wing. Americans
hmm
want good health care. Americans
hmm
want family leave, good
hmm
pay, good
hmm
environment, all of
Yeah.
that. What are what should progressives do, in your opinion, to really switch the narrative? They
Yeah.
make one believe that being left is somehow not what most Americans want.
Well, it's just kind of interesting when I hear, Folks say that because it was a Democrat that went and made sure we could have Social Security. It was a Democrat that went and created Medicare and Medicaid. It was a Democrat that made sure that we can get real things directly to people. I think that ultimately politics is all personal. And we have to make sure that every single day we're communicating to people how our policies and our agenda is going to personally make their lives better. Because we know that when we have universal health care, it helps people. We know that people want that. We already know that. We know that when we do things like protecting Social Security, that people want that. They want their Social Security to be stronger, not weaker. We know when we talk about helping the veterans that served and signed the dotted line to serve America, but ultimately feel as if America is not stepping up for them when they return home, that giving them the strongest VA in the history of this country is something that they want. Now, if Republicans and if conservatives want to call that left wing or crazy, then that's just on them. But I just happen to believe that in the wealthiest country on earth, that we certainly should be providing for the people of our country, and we should be unapologetic about doing so.
No, I don't want to put you against a party or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
But do you think it is necessary to weed out those in the party who have little distinction with, let's say, the Republican orthodoxy?
Well, I mean, I think it just depends on their district, particularly. I just think that ultimately we have to be in the business of expanding our party and making sure that we're electing people to seats that best reflect our values. And that's why these primaries are so incredibly important. Why it's important to understand the kind of person that you're sending to represent our party in Washington, because ultimately, if you don't pay attention to primaries and you get someone in there that's milquetoast and doesn't stand for you, I mean, then the only person that we have to blame is essentially ourselves. So we have to make sure that we're very active in these primaries and we're getting people that understand us, that fight for us, and are focused on our issues.
You and I understand the word milk toast. A lot of regular
Yeah.
people in your district don't. Tell them
Yeah.
what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, look, I think that it was Harry Truman that says that if you're given two options to vote for a Republican or Republican light, people are going to vote for a Republican every single time. And so I do not believe in Republican light politics. I think that we have to be in the party of transforming people, especially because we understand that the facts are on our side. We understand that the last 51 million jobs have been created under Democratic presidents. We know that we grow the economy. We know that we can cut child poverty in half when our policies are done, like the child tax credit. We know that our policies work. So it's time to go all in, go further on the things that we know works, and actually be in the business of doing things. I think that a lot of times people see the fire from Republicans and they get worried about what a Republican might say. But instead, I'm more worried about what the people will say when we deliver for them, when we're putting substantive things on their table to make their lives better. Because when we do that, we can wipe out the Republicans like how Roosevelt did and how he kept the Republicans on their backs for literally 15 straight years when he was there. And I want to do the exact same thing.
I watch the news, morning news every day, but
Yeah.
specifically on Sundays, all of them. And I hear Democrats on those channels all of the times. I've always spoken in my Substacks about being able to articulate immediately off one's tongue what
Yeah.
you just did.
Yeah.
Why is it that somehow that's a working class message I just heard?
Mhm.
All jobs mostly created by Democrats. Best economy, Democrats. Social
Mhm.
Security, Democrats. Why don't I hear it? Not even from Bernie Sanders, which is one of the guys I was a delegate for.
Mhm.
Why is it I don't hear that articulation right off the tongue of every Democrat on TV, with the last sentence being, and by the way, folks, fact check what I just said.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think ultimately, I remember an old Obama quote where he said, "Change doesn't come from Washington; it comes to Washington." And I believe that a lot of times, you got a lot of the DC folks that will do these poll tested messages, and they swear that you have to go follow them to a T. And ultimately, they're trying to test and calculate every single word that people say. But I think that ultimately, in today's time, we have to be in the business of going off the cuff, of being authentic, and just being real. Because when you tell the truth, and this is why I believe I've had so much success on my TikTok lives, is because I just tell the facts. I tell the unapologetic facts. I just tell the truth, because when you do that, that's how you can go forward and really, number one, strike down Republicans, because the facts are never on their side. They don't stand for anything. All they stand for is for the richest people in society to make more money. And every single time they've drove up the national debt to do so, they make the richest people in the country richer, and our economy suffers. And it is us that always has to bail them out. So I believe that it is not good to try to worry about what a Republican might say, because I think that that's really the biggest problem in DC. People are always concerned about what Fox will say or what Charlie Kirk will say or whatever right-wing crackpot they come up with. But instead, we should just be more focused on delivering for the people, on communicating to people, be damned with what the Republicans say, and focus more on getting things done for regular people.
In other words, be assertive and not be responsive to them.
That's right.
You must be the one leading the debate.
We got to go on
must be the
offense.
one leading the narrative.
That's right. We got to go on offense. We have to go on offense, because especially there's no reason to be on defense. These guys suck. I hate to just say, we just got to be honest about it. They suck. And so because of that, their policies are stupid. They do not work. And it's just going to be important for us to be able to communicate that to people in regular language, instead of this super academic, PC bullshit, quite frankly, that doesn't connect with anybody.
You're also absolutely right. It's interesting because in under 100 days, I think Donald Trump is at 70 days,
Yeah.
and the economy has already started to crash. And there's something that very few people realize. The last several recessions have occurred under Republican control, because they simply don't know what to do with an economy. Well, they know what to do with an economy in order to make some people wealthy. Continue.
That's right. That's right. 100%. I mean, I believe every recent recession has happened under Republican control. Look, ultimately, all the Republicans know how to do is to destroy. It is to give tax cuts to the richest people in America. It doesn't matter what's happening. They will always go and do that. And what you're seeing right now is a destruction of not only the economy, but you're seeing them tee up $4.5 trillion in additional tax cuts for the wealthiest people in society. And they're using this, and they're using tariffs to squeeze out small businesses, to give the big businesses more money so they can then buy up all the smaller businesses that we've been working and building up for a very long time. All of this stuff is intentional. It's what happened during the Great Depression. It's the same type of playbook. So we have to call that stuff out. We cannot be afraid in this moment of what Trump might say, because when we're direct with people and we're actually answering their concerns and we're talking about these things in an unapologetic way, people will listen.
And I think people are waiting. Most, not only Democrats, the working class. That's the reason many of them went for Donald Trump. That's under false pretenses.
That's right.
They're waiting to see some assertions.
That's
right.
So
what are you and your Gen Z cohort going to do about this?
Well, for starters, I want to be ruthlessly focused on the economy. I want to be ruthlessly focused on helping people pay lower prices for things. I want to ruthlessly be focused on helping them with their health care. I want to ruthlessly be focused on helping them start businesses and ultimately being able to make the most of their own lives. I believe that it is in the interest of government to do so. I think one of the best boosts that we can do for the economy is to wipe out medical debt for every single person in this country, because I believe that it's absurd that we're giving trillions of dollars in tax cuts to people like Elon Musk, but we have people that are maxing out their credit cards to pay their medical bills, to pay for dialysis in this country. It is shameful. So it's time to wipe that out. It's time to completely reform the healthcare system so we don't end up in this mess again. I want to see us understand that we have these massive job losses that are coming because these companies are shedding jobs, particularly with the development of AI. We are not training workers for the jobs of tomorrow. Right here in Houston, we have an investment from High Velocity to build hydrogen production. They call them a hydrogen hub right here in Houston. The issue is that we don't necessarily have the people that are here that are trained for these jobs. So what happens? Then they try to go over to another state somewhere. They try to go to other cities to go and bring people here, when we have people that are in this city that want to do the jobs, that are wanting and able to do them, but they simply don't have the training. So I want to make community colleges tuition free for all across the country, so we can use that right here in Texas 18 to get the training programs that we need. So when we get these type of plants, when we get clean energy, when we get AI, when we get all of these things that are going to need jobs for the future, we're not having to go other places. We can get them right here in the 18th Congressional District, get them trained, and get them into jobs that pay them a lot of money and help their families.
That is the kind of leadership I think many are looking for. Now, give me a closer. Let me hear what you think is the way forward.
Well, I think that ultimately it is a Democratic Party that must be unafraid. A Democratic Party that is not going to be concerned about, what Republican ire might be. Going into every type of question that you can find, addressing misconceptions, taking every question, going into the questions that might be gotchas, but still going in and answering them with a better answer. Because I believe that gotchas are crushed by better answers. So we have to do that. We have to be bold on our policy. We have to be able to propose things that will be able to help us in the now, help us with our personal lives, but then also prepare us for the future. Because when we're focused on the future, we're focused on what's ahead, we can really get people prepared for this next generation where we're going to have so many development that's happening in this country. So I represent a new version of the Democratic Party. I think that's safe to say. But I believe that it is through young people and it's through people that see the understanding of this fight that is ahead, the policies for the future, and a bold agenda that's ahead. I believe very confidently that not only we will defeat this corrupt president, MAGA, and all the crazy Republicans that look like they're so strong in Washington right now, but we will dominate them for the next few years and potentially decades ahead if we play our cards right.
Let me tell you, Isaiah, I've been very happy to see young Gen Z and some younger millennials starting to creep up in the Democratic Party. Something
Yeah.
that's been missing from many older folks that refuse to back down and say,
Yeah.
open the door and let these guys come in. Thank you so kindly for appearing on the channel here on Substack Live, and keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. Okay, folks. Now, I hope you enjoyed that. I have to figure out how to pitch my voice. All right, here we go. All right. Michael Rudnin says what most people can't seem to understand is that deep learning AI are getting better fast. And within the next 5 years, for example, you are not going to be able to tell the difference between art that was created by a human being and one by AI. Shoot, there are some of them. Have you looked at Jess E? That's how it looks already. Let's see what else we got here. Um, let's see. My main problem with generative AI is that it's going to replace half of the workforce. I don't have a problem with that. If we make sure that we reduce the work week, that's what's important. All right. Okay. How are you doing today?
Hello there, Ibrahim. This is
How you?
caller Harry. I
Hey,
keep
Harry, what's up?
praying that you'll get your pipes back soon. I was wondering before I get into what I was going to say, do you take Mucinex when you have problems with your voice
No,
or when you
never
get
took it.
congested?
Never took it before.
Oh well, that will help when you get congested in your chest. I take it. I've been taking it for several years. It does help with the congestion and break up that phlegm and that mucus, and
I will.
hopefully your because that
I
mucus
will.
gets on the larynx. You can try it.
I will try
But
it
I'll get
anyway.
into what I was going to say. Isaiah Martin is correct. The Republicans want to just make money for their rich business corporate friends, so they can squeeze out the small businesses. And then, as you're always talking about, Roberto, the taxes, with these tariffs that they're threatening to do. Unfortunately, what that's going to do, not only with the inflation that it's going to cause, but that tax money that's going to be put off on the working class, as you're always saying, that goes to their rich friends. And they crash the economy all the time. And as you said, we get more recessions under them. And they run up more debt. And they talk about wasteful spending. They're talking about
Yeah.
wasteful spending in healthcare. I just heard on NPR they're talking about, I think, or no, I think Isaiah Martin said that. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah. Let me say
he was
one
talking
thing.
about the dialysis,
Right. I
cutting
want to
that
say
out.
something. I want to.
No,
I want to
go ahead.
say this.
And
It's
my brother's
important.
getting dialysis right now.
All right. Okay. It's
Go ahead.
important. And then I'm off to let you go because we got to keep the program going. But here's the thing, my
That's right.
brother.
That's right.
let me tell you this. More waste occurs in the private sector than in
Yeah,
government. In fact, most of the waste in government comes from the ripoff from the private sector. Don't let anyone lie to you. If you take a look at where all
yeah,
the waste is, it's the private sector overbilling, the private sector ripping off the government and using them as a cash cow. And then they have the nerve to
right,
say government is wasteful. Thank you very much, my brother. We'll
right.
talk later.
Oh,
I'll
one
talk to
other
you
thing,
tomorrow.
Roberto, before I let you go.
Yes, sir.
One other thing, real quick. When you get the Mucinex, get the extra strength, the tan pill, not the blue pill. The tan pill works a lot better.
Thank you, brother. Have a great one, okay?
Okay,
I
take care.
appreciate you.
We'll talk. And, oh, one other thing. The election. Let's keep our fingers crossed that Susan Crawford defeats that Brad Schimmel
I think that's going to
in
happen.
Wisconsin.
I think that's going to
Yeah,
happen.
hopefully, yeah.
All right.
Let's
Thank
pray
you,
God that
brother.
that happens. It's like
All right.
Martin said about the Democrats, we got to dominate these Republicans. All right,
Thank you, brother.
let's continue.
All right. Hey, Michael, you are leaving because my voice is difficult. Michael, what's wrong with you, brother? We stay in the fight, but it's okay. I got you. If my raspy voice is too bad for you, suppose it was my natural voice. Does that mean I would never have had you as a listener if this was my natural voice? We have to be careful about, these kinds of things, brother. All right. Let's see what else we've got here. Para ver. Let me go to the second video about Republicans flooding the zone. Here we go. A few months ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, I wrote a piece talking about this being all that Musk is doing is a big distraction, and what they wanted to do was to, privatize. But there are certain elements within our government that can't be quite easily privatized in the aggregate, the whole thing. As an example, the post office is a part of our constitution. So as being a part of the constitution, we can't just say get rid of the post office and give it to the highest bidder. Maybe whoever gives Trump the biggest bribe, UPS, FedEx, DH. You can't quite do that. But there are technicalities that you can, right? In other words, if you have a building that's owned by the government, cleaned by government workers, and have government employees doing the job, you can say, okay, I want to save money. What we'll do is take away the cleaning chores from that building, send it to a private company to do, sell that building, bring a one-time income from that building into the coffers, and you get rid of half the employees, and anything that those employees needed to do that's not there anymore, maybe answering phones and all of that, we sell it to an external AI system or to a external voice call system, whatever. I've been thinking about what they are doing when they're flooding the zones with what they're doing right now. That's been on my mind. And, I've written several Substacks about this in different iterations. And then yesterday, as I kind of started doing some reading on Washington Post, and I'm now careful with the Washington Post since Bezos controls it. And, you can't tell if these guys are going to be, how accurate these guys are going to be anyway. But this was a fairly good article by one of their writers, and the title of it, Elizabeth Dowskin, Jeff Stein, we all know, Hannah Naderson, and Jacob Boget, wrote an article titled "Doge Wants Businesses to Run Government Services as Much as Possible." That one title tells the story. We cannot particularly kill agencies. We're losing in court. But you know what? When Congress wrote the rules for these agencies, they wrote the rules as far as what the agencies must do. But the executive gets a chance to say how it does it to fulfill the laws that Congress passes. And there is the rub. Donald Trump via Musk, as he got. Well, let me read the first part of the article. It says mail delivery, real estate, foreign aid grants,
The Trump administration is moving to privatize a sweeping number of governmental functions and assets, a long-standing Republican goal that's being catalyzed by billionaire Elon Musk. The slash and burn approach of Musk's U.S. Doge service is paving the way for a new shift to the private sector, reducing the size and power of the federal bureaucracy in a real-world test of the conservative theory, a version of which is also widely popular in Silicon Valley, that companies are better than government at saving money and responding to people's need. That could not be further from the truth. I'm going to give just one big example. One big example. Biden passed several $billion worth of dollars to build internet infrastructure in rural areas. None of that has really gotten done yet. Why? Because the private sector doesn't want the government to infringe on certain areas in rural America that sometime in the future they may decide to build an internet, so a broadband for their people. And thus, all that money that got passed in the Inflation Reduction Act that included broadband in rural areas never got done. And so people hear about all these great things that were done during the Biden administration. They say, but I don't see it. And they're right, because the corporations, through lobbying, through neoliberal Democrats as well, have written the laws in such a manner that doesn't just go ahead and say, we're building this infrastructure, come high water or not. I don't care what the hell corporations want to say, well, we intended to build it. Okay? So the big fallacy that is told to America all of the times is that somehow corporations are more efficient than government. It's the biggest lie ever told, almost as large as that trickle-down economics work. There are reasons why it does not. There are reasons why these are lies. But there are reasons why they tell you that. There are reasons why the Powell memo it tells you we are going to infect churches, schools, and everything else, because we have to control your mind so that you can vote against your own interests. Let's just put some numbers to it. And I want to show you how wrong that is, illogical it is. Let's just take one agency run entirely by the government. That one agency run entirely by the government. And by the way, before I go into that, I don't want people to believe that I don't believe that we should have corporations doing things. I believe corporations should do things that that people have choices for. You want a car and different kinds of cars, etc. Corporations should do that. You want to have restaurants and different kinds of foods. Corporations should do that. But anything that we, the people, are dependent on for survival, it should either be done by government or corporations under very strong regulations. That is a no-brainer. But let's go back to corporations now. If something is done by the government, the government gives a service or a product, right? And that's it. And for that service and product, they have an employee, they have a manager that gets a salary. All these people get a salary. You know what? You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay shareholders. You don't have to pay executives. You don't have to pay bonuses. You don't have to pay real estate charges. You don't have to pay advertising. None of that has to be paid. And one of the benefits you get from doing that are many, right? If you have a government worker by definition generally gets very good health care. They get very good. And by the way, I think healthcare should be controlled by the government altogether, so that everybody, every living human being in our country should have healthcare that's paid out of the general coffers. All of us pay taxes, and that should take care of our healthcare. But that's a different story. If you take a look at the government worker, they make, an average salary that is higher than the norm. They get good healthcare. They get fairly good vacation time, etc. All these are good things in the communities where you have government workers, because these government workers are paid at a higher rate than, let's say, your mom and pop store, because a guy working at USPS makes more than that lady at the counter at UPS, quite a bit more. Guess what? that person spends more into that local economy where they work. So they will buy more pizzas from that private sector. They will buy more scones from that coffee shop. They will buy more of all these things that UPS person at the stand can't afford. So when you hear them talk about privatizing a federal agency or privatizing your post office, understand that it's not only going to be rehiring employees at a lower salary, but having all these millions of employees at a lower salary also means that it affects your local economy. Those restaurants, those coffee shops, those movie theaters, all of these things now will have less money. And you know where that money actually goes? It goes into the pockets of the executives and the shareholders. So it's a means, it's a invisible way of transferring our taxpayer dollars directly to the capitalist, directly to the people who own corporations, meaning shareholders, directly to the executives' bonuses for doing this great thing. So right now, folks, when you hear about DOGE cutting all these workers, they're cutting workers that are needed. When they talk about cutting Social Security workers, don't think that as people start to scream from all these cuts, they're not going to rehire. They will. But what they will do is they will get private companies who will provide the bleed over. And these private companies will hire a lot more people at a lot lower costs, meaning they'll pay them a lot less. The same amount of money is what Congress is providing. Don't forget it. The bills are already passed. So we know how much money is already allotted to Social Security. So if you cut all these workers, you privatize and hire other workers that are paid less, guess where the rest of that money goes that has already been allocated? It goes to the shareholder. It goes to the executives. Folks, we have to wise up. This stuff is flooding the zone with so many things happening all at once that you don't see that you're getting screwed. You don't see that you're getting screwed. We, the taxpayer, getting screwed. Now, the slash and burn approach of Musk U.S. Dodge Service is paving the way for a new shift to the private sector, reducing the size and power of the federal bureaucracy, says these reporters in a real-world test of the conservative theory. Look, the conservative theory has been tried, and it has failed over and over again. And it has failed for the exact reason that we've just said. It is just a matter of transferring money to the wealthy. And after the wealthy have so much money, they don't have any reason to spend it. And they don't. But all the middle class employees that get these higher salaries, guess what they do? They spend it. They put it into the economy. They actually make use of it. They make the economy work. They make the economy work. So we can't allow the smoke and mirrors and all the distraction to work. What has to be done is folks have to learn these issues and act accordingly. And the complete movement to fascism hasn't yet occurred, but it is happening at a pace that, let me tell you, currently it is happening at such a pace that you had President Trump a couple of days ago saying the following: I am thinking about running for a third, and there's a way. We know there's a way that I can do it. Even though the Constitution says 2 terms, he said there's a way. And then he ended by saying, and by the way, I'm serious. In other words, stop thinking that this is a joke of me just messing with you guys. I'm serious. I am coming for a third. And there are 2 reasons that he's putting that message out. 2 reasons. One is that he really wants a third, assuming he can live through it. Because remember, the guy is pushing 80, right? So he does want a third. But the other reason is he wants the rest of the world to believe that for the next decade, just about, they will have to be dealing with Trump. So while some countries may say we can wait this out, let's not make any deals with Trump. We can wait it out. He got 4 years and then it's over. He wants them to know, hey, look, I got in here again. And guess what? I could even go a third. And just spinning that out there will have some countries, weaker countries, say, well, you know what? We better make whatever deal we can with Trump. To which I tell them what they should be doing is remembering that America makes up 4% of the population. 4% of the population. The rest of the world is 96%. America has elected a president not with the majority of Americans, with less than the majority of Americans. But because of various technicalities in our pseudo democracy, he still became president. Maybe it's time for the rest of the world to assist in ensuring that this guy doesn't destroy the world. And maybe it is time for the rest of the world, instead of cowering, to go ahead and say, okay, maybe it's time for the rest of the world. You know, there was a time when one of the reasons Hugo Chavez was hated. Hugo Chavez was creating los Estados Unidos, los Estados Bolivianos de América. What that was is the Bolivarian states of America. And that would have included Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Argentina, all these major Latin American countries. And believe it or not, the amount of natural resources that these countries commanded and the intellect that these countries commanded, if they were to go it alone, would have matched either the European Union or the United States. The United States would not allow that to occur. And that's why you had that constant destabilization in Southern and Central and Southern America. Because again, we cannot have any competition. That's why you can have the largest bastion of oil, the largest reserve of oil in Venezuela, and nothing can come of it. That should be the superpower in an oil economy, the superpower of South America. Ask yourself why it's not happening, anyhow. So it is important, folks, that we understand these concepts, that we understand what's really occurring out there, and that we start doing something about it, if that's what we want to do. But one thing that we cannot do is just sit back and say somebody is going to do it.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Join. Anyway, folks, that is the last video of the day. I'll entertain anybody who calls in. And if nobody calls in, then I'll call it a day. Give me a call, 281-823-7747. Again, 281-823-7747. I'll wait for 2 minutes. If we get a call, we'll continue the program. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and do our ask and close her up till tomorrow. So let's see if our phones ring. Anybody new calling, give us a call, 281-823-7747. Okay, let's see if I have anything real quick to read that needs to be said. Bear with me as I go through. Para ver. No hay nada aquí. Okay, great. All right, 1 more minute to go. 281-823-7747. I think you guys want to have mercy on my voice, and that I appreciate. Okay. All right, folks, look. Please support the program however you can. While this is an effort of love, this is also an effort to make change. And the only way we do this is via the support that many of you provide through Substack and many other platforms. So if you would be so kind, if you go to politicsdoneright.com/support, that is where all the different forms in which you can support us is found. If you go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. That is where if you get us a paid subscription to our newsletter, it'll go a hell of a long distance to help us get the job done. Got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. You guys love you all. Have a wonderful day. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.